Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly hangout where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, send questions and comments to our Twitter page at Mason Roundtable or on the Facebook event page for episode 125, Book Club Part 2. As usual, my name is John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And tonight we have two of the five. Hopefully that'll grow over time. Robert, introduce yourself.
Three of the five, someone who can't count.
This mathematician named John Ruark. Robert Johnson, past master of Waukegan Lodge number 78 in Waukegan, Illinois, and the host of the Winscany Masonic podcast. Thanks, John.
See how humble I am? I don't even include myself.
You shouldn't.
Jason Richards.
I agree. Hey, everybody, Jason Richards, Senior Warden of Acacia Lodge number 16 in good old Clifton, Virginia.
In fact, I'm the most humble. I'm more humble than everyone. Great. Thanks for joining us, guys. The other guys have a little bit of a family commitments going on, so we'll get right to it. In Masonic news for this week, we do have a couple interesting topics, a variety, a plethora, if you will, and we'll start with a nice introduction to Masonic titles. Let's see, there was a recent article posted by everyone's favorite satirist, at least Masonic satirist, that
they get so much hate too. It's amazing.
Ass bastard. This was even it's cited on Hodap's blog, so.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was brilliant, actually.
He's never really posted anything satirical, and yet these guys made the cut. So, let's see. The Grand Master of, let's see, let me read it off to you here. In Ohio, the illustrious and most worshipful Grand Master of Ohio Masons, Bobby Bill Jr., 33rd degree, Knights of the York Court of Honor, KYCH, Knight Commander of the Court of Honor, KCCH, Past Imperial Potentate, PIP, of the Oriental Shrine, Past Grand High Priest, PGHP, of Royal Archmasons in Ohio, Past Right Eminent Grand Commander of the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon, also known as the Knights Templar, Chief Adept of the Ohio College of the Societas Rosicruciana in Civitatibus Federatis, I screwed it up again, SRICF, Most Illustrious Companion, Past Sovereign Grand Master of the Allied Masonic Degrees, Sovereign Grand Commander of the Northern Masonic Jurisdiction, Past Worthy Grand Patron of the Ohio Grand Chapter of the Order of the Eastern Star, Supreme Imperial Turtle Emeritus of the Ancient and Honorable Order of the Turtles, Past Grand Chancellor of the Grand College of Rights of the United States of America, First Grand Master Mason of the Worshipful Society of Freemasons, Rough Masons, Wallers, Slaters, Pavers, Plasterers, and Bricklayers, also known as the Operatives, Provincial Grand Master of the Masonic Order of Athelstan, KSM, Past Sovereign Grand Preceptor of the Sovereign Order of the Knights Preceptor, Honorary Past Grand Commander General of the Masonic Order of the Bath of the United States of America, Past Provincial Grand Master of the Royal Order of Scotland, Past Grand Preceptor of the Grand College of America, Holy Royal Arch Knight Templar Priests, Past Director of Muskingum Court number 66 of the Royal Order of the Jesters. Interesting. Past Grand Master of the Independent Order of Oddfellows, the Grand Lodge of Ohio. Past Grand Monarch of the Mystic Order of the Veiled Prophets of the Enchanted Realm. Past Sovereign Grand Master of the National Sovereign Sanctuary, Ancient and Primitive Rite of Memphis. Look at this guy. Is that clandestine? I don't know. For the United States. And Past Grand Royal Patron of the Order of the Amaranth, Grand Court of Ohio, Past Supreme Tall Cedar of the Supreme Forest Tall Cedars of Lebanon of North America. Wonders why new Masons are disillusioned with titles. So, nice setup.
Son of...
It's just such a genius article. And like I've said online, I really have a love-hate relationship with that site because, frankly, a lot of the articles just don't resonate with me. So this one was amazing, though.
the comments have been hilarious because people resonate with that.
Yeah. I mean,
What's your line?
every year at Grand Lodge Sessions, right? I mean, it's an hour of introductions. Come on.
What's we're all on the level. That's why Masonry has so many of them. Is that your line?
Yes. Masonry, where we all meet on. Yeah, we're on the level. That's why we have so many of them.
Great. That was funny. That was good stuff. Let's see. Next in Masonic news.
Let's not make it a habit of reading past bastard articles out loud, though.
Especially ones that long. No, it was a good setup. Let's see. Next in Masonic news, that on Hodap's blog, Freemasons provide a home for a Catholic church. Interesting. Usually there's been a love-hate relationship over the past between the Catholic Church and the Freemasons, and we've gone over a little bit of that on the peripheral in some of our religion and Freemasonry episodes. But this is an interesting article where there is a small Catholic church that's been trying to find a home. In fact, they've actually been squatting in something and finally got booted out, according to some of the local governance. So they actually needed to find a new home, in which the local Masonic Lodge opened up their doors, and they now are allowed to have Mass inside of a Masonic Lodge. So there's a nice picture there. This is amazing. This is great to see the brotherly love reaching across some perceived differences to accommodate the community, and that's what everyone should do, regardless of religious affiliation and fraternal organization. Thoughts? What do you guys think about this?
No, I think it's a great idea. Anytime that you can see two organizations coming together, which have historically been at such odds, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I always make some comment that's kind of jerkish, but listen, when was the last time a Catholic church allowed us to hold a meeting in their building? I think it shows the toleration issue is one-sided.
That's what agape is all about.
Yeah,
unconditional love.
Yeah.
I have no further comment, as I just sent an email to the pastor of the Presbyterian Church near Acacia, begging her for us to be able to use their multi-purpose room for our installation in December.
Don't reserve your comments until after you're elected and installed.
No, they've always been great to us. Actually, with that Presbyterian church, when Acacia flooded, they actually let us meet in their church for quite some time. So it was really cool.
Okay. Juan, thanks for joining us.
Good evening, gentlemen. Now, communion, would that present a problem? If there is, well, it depends on the jurisdiction, right?
Communion within a lodge building?
Yeah, alcohol.
Oh.
I mean, in the Protestant churches, it's grapefruit juice. I mean, grape juice, but in Catholic Church, it's wine.
Presbyterians use wine too.
Never thought about that.
Those crazy Methodists just use grape juice.
What doesn't know them doesn't hurt them.
Yes.
You know. Just do what you gotta do. Don't make a big deal of it.
Hey, do we have a hat trick of all 5 tonight?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably creeping in.
Nicky Johnson, little Nick.
Himself. Let's move to the next.
We trickle.
We have the Prince Hall Masons in Virginia, where Jason and I reside. They have unveiled a new historic marker in Petersburg, celebrating the place of origin of their 140-year-old organization. So this is kind of cool.
Awesome.
I wish I had known about it. I would have tried to get out there.
Yeah, for sure. They could have put it on Masonic Finder.
That's true. They could have. I don't know. This is really cool because they have it's a historical landmark marker that you normally see across your state.
Yeah.
So it's an official state of Virginia approved marker, and they've been able to trace all the way down their origins of where Prince Hall came into Virginia and establish lodges. So I think it's kind of awesome that they were to one celebrate their history and actually physically mark the spot, but then have a public ceremony like that out in the public. So kudos.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love little things like that. And it's probably going to have to be a subject of one of my Masonic oddities articles for the Midnight Freemasons.
Yeah,
maybe.
I will second that suggestion.
Hop in your car, get down there, take some pictures.
Yeah, Petersburg's a ways away.
Slacker.
Yeah.
Good. And Jason, I know you brought this one up in particular, since it is election time. Why don't you?
All right, so not to mix politics and masonry, because no one on Earth has ever done that. Now that that's out of the way, stumbled across some interesting articles detailing the history of national conventions, and we all know not to quote Karl Rove. However, it was an interesting article where he and I've seen this in multiple different articles, so I know it's not just one side just spouting off. Saw multiple articles detailing the reason as to why political parties started choosing their official presidential nominees at conventions, and that was because in 1832 the anti-Masonic Party had risen to power. 1831. And that, of course, came to prominence after the William Morgan affair. And because this third party came into being, the parties, were at a little bit of an imbalance and could no longer just use their closed-door caucuses to elect their put their favorite guy out as a nominee. So the reason why we have Democratic and Republican national conventions, the Freemasons. Kind of. Interesting tidbit of history. Take it for what it is. The William Morgan affair being often a misunderstood piece of history. But yeah, it was something that caught my eye and something that I felt it was worth sharing.
Awesome. I learned something today. Cool. All right.
Doesn't happen often for you, does it?
The work clock tells the right time twice a day. That's been plenty of Masonic.
If it's analog.
If it's analog. But my phone has the clock on it all the time. Let's see, Nick, are you back? Are you ready? Maybe. Wait for it.
I got it, John.
Okay. Nick's in perpetual mute mode right now. Let's switch over to everyone's favorite Masonic trivia, the Masonic Monday question.
On Tuesday.
Take it away.
Aw. Okay, so last week's question was, Freemasons have been involved in many aspects of the Federal District, aka the District of Columbia. Many theories have been made about what role Freemasonry played in the founding of the United States of America. One example of our role is traced to the literal founding of the district, the placing of the first boundary stone in the district. Your question, which lodge laid that first cornerstone of the district, and what was the name of the presiding master of that ceremony? And you know what? I think we read this last week. Anyway, congratulations again to William Nair, Christopher Boyce, Justin Miller, Art Ingersoll, Christopher Croto, Mark Robbins, Ed Potter, Joey Boyer, Adam Richardson, Michael Laidlaw, Seth M. Lewis, Darius Butler, and Matthew Apple. The answer is Alexandria Lodge number 22, Dr. Elisha Collin Dick serving as master. And I really think we read that last week. This week's question, which might also be last week's question, we'll see, is the Scottish Rite in the United States developed from a number of origins and constitutions and eventually led to 3 competing supreme councils here. One of those grand constitutions, purported to be written by Frederick the Great himself, led to the creation of two supreme councils still in existence today. According to the French translation of this document, a supreme council needed this many inspectors general to form a grand council, of which 5 had to be this. Yes, we read this last week. This is where I interjected female. How many inspectors needed to be present, and what did 5 need to be? So since Nick's not here, we're going to still go with this question because it's the most up-to-date one I have. When you have the answer, send it to masonicmonday@gmail.com. Don't forget your name, your lodge name and number, and your grand jurisdiction if you have one. And submit it with the hashtag deja vu.
Where do I put the accents?
We'll
figure it out.
That's open to interpretation.
Yes.
So
all over again, according to Juan.
yes.
Okay, let's now get into tonight's topic, which is Book Club Part 2. We had an episode all the way back in episode 24, over 100 episodes ago, where we had our original book club. It was such a hit that we decided to have Deja Vu, segue, to do it again. And we've read a lot since then. So now what we're going to do is the same format as before. We're going to do a round robin format where each of us will pick a book in order, tell a little bit about it. We can all chime in what we liked, what we didn't like, if we've read it, and move on to the next topic. So being one of the moderators, I'll go first, and I'll start with W.L. Wilmshurst's The Meaning of Masonry. Now, if you haven't read this book, it was done in the last century, and it is one guy's collection of essays. Wilmshurst, who's actually a pretty good Masonic author, this is actually the first thing I've read of his. And what's great about this book is he flat out says in the beginning, as Pike does in Esoterica, that if you don't think that there's something deeper than the ritual, you're not looking hard enough. He says. So he goes right to it, just you can see right up front where he stands, and then spends the rest of the book kind of decomposing some of the symbols in his mind of what they allude to. What I like about this book is that it encourages people to think critically and think a little bit more open-mindedly of what else could these objects in the lodge stand for, and that he does posit his own thoughts. Now, what's interesting is reading other philosophical and esoteric books, he aligns with some of them, and then he goes off on some tangents of his own. So another interesting piece to build to that is he uses terms like the outer guard and inner guard, offices that are not held in any member of a Virginia Masonic Lodge. So when you assign symbolism to a position that has no relevance to a different jurisdiction, it's kind of hard to go with his analogies. But that being said, it's a good starter book for those who are looking for dipping their toe in the water of what the philosophy and esoteric side of Masonry is. The Meaning of Masonry, W.L. Wilmshurst. Have you guys read this? Maybe?
Nope.
All right.
Nope. Sounds really interesting, though. What you know about it, that you had some verbiage in the text that might make some Masons go, what the heck is that? Reminds me, I just read, in fact, it was just released. It's a Masonic tarot deck, actually, and it comes in a small book, and it talks about 3 degrees, and it tells what happens, but I'm reading it going, this is not what happened to my degrees. So it's kind of interesting to draw a small parallel there, but is the book inherently, would you say it has a strong esoteric feel to it, or is it just the symbolism that you're referring to?
That's a good question. I'd say it tries to apply symbolism to philosophy, which then could be deconstructed into some esoteric concepts like Gnosticism and so forth. So again, I would consider it the beginner's guide to esoteric Masonry. It just kind of dips your toe in the water. Good. Okay, so now let's hand it off to Jason Richards for his first book.
All right. My first book, which is probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever read, is Freemasonry: Symbols, Secrets, Significance by W. Kirk McNulty. This is just an amazingly beautiful book. You know, if nothing else, you know, that's pretty sweet right there. But
Signed copy.
signed copy. But this is your quintessential coffee table book on the Masonic experience. It's easy to read, mostly because you spend so much time looking at the pictures, which just beautifully illustrate the Masonic experience. It's just absolutely wonderful to have, and I really think any Mason who is just interested in looking at different artifacts from around the world should get a copy of that book because it's amazing.
And that was one of mine from last time. So, yes.
Oh,
Homework fail. It's a great book. I love it. So, and I second everything Jason said. I like pictures. I'm an engineer.
you say that, but you're not so good with accounting tonight.
I'm failing all over the place. So with that, let's go over to Juan with his first book choice. Enlighten us, Juan.
All right. The first one I want to show. Is it true what they say about the Freemasons? By Brother.
I almost picked that book out of my bookshelf tonight.
Yeah, it's very simple. If you think about it, when you're starting in Freemasonry, there's so many pretty books that have all kinds of nonsense in them. It's good to have access to something that has substance to it. For example, I bookmarked a little nice thing here about Leo Taxil, The Hoax of Luciferian Masonry. So, is it true what they say about us worshiping the one being called Lucifer? Nick nods in agreement, of course. Well, here you see where that whole hoax originates from. And not just that, but the repercussions. So he follows up by quoting the many books that gave false credence to Leo Taxil's hoax. So it goes into detail telling you, okay, well, even though he recanted later on, it didn't matter. These other books followed and tried to cement a nonsense. So I haven't finished this book, but what I've read about it, I've enjoyed, and I recommend it for anybody starting in the craft so they can nip some of these falsehoods in the bud. B-U-D. D-D-D.
I've actually read that book cover to cover, Juan.
Nice.
And it is very well written, very clearly explains everything and the logic behind everything. And it is just a great book for any Mason who is getting some pushback on Masonry from those who are rather ignorant. And it's just a great way to ground yourself and say, actually, this is why all of this isn't the way people say it is.
That's true. And I failed to mention is Brother Arturo de Hoyos and Brother S. Brent Morris. So both of them collaborated. And it's broken up into almost short essays, so you can just pick it up a little bit at a time and go through it. So,
Cool.
is it true?
Thank you, Juan.
Well,
Nick, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? All right. So, I'm trying to decide which. Okay, so did I pull out a radical in the East last time?
Yes.
All right. So we'll go.
I just had to look the website up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good because I've got like a whole stack of books around here, and I'm trying to decide which one to start with. But let's go with the Foundations of Modern Freemasonry. This is an excellent book.
Is that Rick Berman?
I believe it is. It is Rick Berman. Oh, did I steal your book?
Nope. Go ahead.
All right, because if I did, I have like a bunch of others. But this book is excellent. I'm not so much a history nerd as much as like a politics nerd, and this really is a fascinating book describing all the different societies that occurred, um, the nobility within Grand Masterhood, and just the beginnings of craft masonry within England, which really gives us understanding of what we're doing as well. It's also extremely well written, kind of dense if you're not totally ready for it, but I really enjoy it. I've enjoyed it reading it. I'm trying to get back into it again, just because there's so much to pull out of this. So, you got any thoughts, Jason, as well on this one?
Sorry, had to unmute the mic there. So I haven't read that book. However, I have had the pleasure of hearing Rick Berman speak, and I actually have one of his lectures, and then also his books, Loyalists and Malcontents, which talks about the formation of several of the Grand Lodges in the early American histories. Or in early American history. He is a phenomenal historian, a phenomenal speaker, and that book has actually been on my Amazon wish list for about 6 months now, just because it's a little more expensive than other ones you can find. So
It's a little pricey, yeah.
I really have to wait until a moment of weakness in order to buy it.
Oh man, you got an Echo, so I mean seriously, at this point, what else do you need, right?
Hey, I used airline miles to buy that.
Oh, see, oh, man.
I love the Echo, but I wouldn't have paid $200 for it.
You just got to get to the Bing searches. It's like $5 after, I don't know, a month and a half of work. So, but
Yeah.
but seriously though, I mean, this book, I really enjoy it. Now, a little bit of the weird part about it is that it's very focused on the higher level, the higher echelons of Freemason politics. So it doesn't necessarily give you a taste of what was going on, down below. There's a lot of names that you're going to be pulling out encyclopedias on and trying to figure out who this guy is and stuff like that. But I think Rick Berman does an excellent job. And if you don't want to buy it, I'm sure there's got to be a Lodge library or Grand Lodge library that carries it. So definitely check it out.
Thank you, Nick.
He is this year's Prestonian lecturer.
Excellent. He well deserved, and I wish I had the money to bring him out to my lodge.
Country Lodge had him, but we don't have money either, so don't worry. Robert, that was your book, please.
Sure. So I'm coming to you from a hotel room, so the connection's spotty. My first book is the Pentateuch, so I will screen share that.
Isn't that $5?
It is, but you know what? It is literally one book if you buy it right here. The 5 Books of Moses, a translation with commentary. I've talked about this in the past. It's probably one of my more recent books I've read, which is why I love it. I'm really into this book. The first review on here says a modern classic, thrilling and constantly illuminating, by one of these dudes over at the Washington Post Book World. The book is literally fascinating. Robert Alter does a great job. I mean, it's a little bit intimidating at 1,120 pages, but when I tell you that not every page is, it's not Bible print. It's not like you're reading the Bible, guys. It's pieces of the text, and then underneath that text, it's deciphered both through looking at the true meaning of the words in Hebrew and their meaning, not their translation to Greek and then Greek to English. So you get that critical scholarly look, and It's not bad. $16 on Kindle, or it's hardcover for $12. I just bought it as a paperback for $10 when I got it, and great book. Specifically, we talked a little bit about Jason's presentation on the flood myths, and the 5 books of Moses touches on the flood and so many other things in there. It's a great book, and I think any Mason, religious or not, you all know. I mean, I don't hold that, but this is just a wonderful, wonderful book, and I think it gives you a great history and a great basis on some of the historical pieces of some of the degrees that we have, both in Scottish Rite, York Rite, and a bit in the Blue Lodge.
So John's waiting for you to notice that he and I went halfsies on it after you brought it up in TMR a couple months ago.
So you take
it
the
is.
first 500 pages, and I take the last 500 pages. This thing's a beast, man. You weren't kidding.
It is a beast, but literally, I think I read. If you want to talk about that book in inches, I think I probably read half an inch of that book in a day.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down on a rainy afternoon and I cruised. I just couldn't put it down. It was really gripping. So, great book, and I'm sure it holds a real special place too for any Masons who use that in religious practices and study. It's great book.
Yeah, thanks for recommending that.
Can you show the cover
Thank you.
one more time, please?
Yes. The 5 Books of Moses by Robert Alter.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know I'm adding links to these books on the events page, so if brothers want to add those to their wish list,
Great.
or send one to Jason so that John can keep his.
Well, we'll have all these linked in the show notes too.
Thanks. Okay, now we're all the way back around to me, so let me go with my next one, which is Inner Christianity. While this is not a directly Masonic book, it's a book that I found to be very aligned with the philosophies taught in Freemasonry and how they apply to my spiritual practice. I stumbled upon this book. It's by Richard Smoley. He's written some other esoteric and Christian texts in the past. It's a little bit smaller. It's about 270 pages, and I've read through this twice. This guy packs a lot of good information about the inner Christianity, about applying a lot of the gnosis of Christianity, of understanding and being more like Jesus, and instead of the literal translations of the Bible, he takes some of the allegorical translations and applies those personally. And so this thing I couldn't put down. I have the audiobook. I've listened to the audiobook 2 or 3 times. I've read the physical book. I keep this by my nightstand and turn a couple pages. It's really fascinating because it covers a breadth of topics, from astral traveling to meditation to Gnosticism to alchemy, then covers the history of the Rosicrucians and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So it covers everything in this little book. It's very dense, but easy to read, if that makes sense. It packs a lot of information. It's a good starter guide for more deeper thing. It's obviously bent on the Christian faith and tries to separate itself from the exoteric Christians or Christianity, and then applying it inwardly to your own soul. So, any questions on that? Anyone read that?
I have, because you bought it for me. Yeah, I've read through probably the first third of it, and it's very, very compelling. It definitely identifies much better with the Christianity with which I identify, which is really a thirst for knowing God, vice the Pauline approach of thirst for salvation and hope in the afterlife. I mean, it's, you see that with the early church. You had the Gnostic church, which was focused on becoming close to God, and then the Pauline church, which forced out the Gnostics, which was really emphasis on salvation.
Well said. Great. Let's move back to you, Jason. What's your second book?
All right. So this is a book I got from Frater O, and it's called Out of Body Adventures. 30 Days to the Most Exciting Experience of Your Life. And actually, I'm not going to talk about that because the book is garbage. Instead, but I had to throw out a bone to Brother Frater O. He's a great guy. Instead, we waited for this book to be published on our show, like the better part of a year. We even had Brother Joseph Wages on, and this is The Secret School of Wisdom, The Authentic Rituals and Doctrines of the Illuminati, and this is just an amazing scholarly work. Edited by Brother Joe Wages down in Texas with Reinhard Markner and the late Jeva Singanand, who translated the Bavarian Illuminati rituals from the original German and reprinted them for the first time ever. And there are just some guys like Nick who just love reading ritual. And if
I do.
Initiatic experiences and ritualistic experiences are something that interest you and excite you, this book is going to be just a complete and utter page turner. One of the things I like most about this book, however, doesn't have anything to do with the rituals themselves, but it has to do with the entire first chapter, which is a preparatory essay on a general idea of the Society of the Illuminati, which gives actually the best history of the Bavarian Illuminati that I've ever read. And it's just a fantastic book. Once you get into the rituals, it gets a bit dry. But again, if you are the kind of person who just loves reading about different rituals and different ceremonies, then it'll be a complete and utter page turner for you. And we had Joe Wages on the show back in the very early days of TMR, and he did everybody in Freemasonry and historians everywhere a solid with all the work he put into this.
Great. Good choice. Juan, will you introduce your second book for the evening?
I see you guys talking about these other ones, and I have them in my eternal stack of which I always speak. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta get back to that. The next one that I wanted to show is along the lines of what Jason showed first, that illustrated, almost coffee book type. Sometimes it just feels good to look through one of these books and get lost in the images, especially for someone who is so into the visually stimulating art. And it's not Masonic in nature, but it does contain some Masonic elements. It's called The Book of Codes, Understanding the World of Hidden Messages. And it is very nicely illustrated. It has I know it's a lot of fun. The portion about Freemasonry is very little. I'm going to go straight to it so you can take a quick look. But it talks about modes of recognition from different organizations. It talks about recognizing people from a distance and understanding their messages from flags or light beams or anything of the sort. So here you have, just so you can see how delicious this book is. It has a lot of illustrations.
Yeah, good
So
design.
it's one of those books that it's not going to go very deep, but it's going to go wide. So it talks about the Freemasons. On the very next few pages, talks about Kabbalah. It talks about the Rosicrucians. and it kind of shows a little bit of the history of where some of the symbols come from and how they connect to one another. So it is, again, the Book of Codes, and this is by Paul Lundy.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome.
Nick, your next book, please.
I'm going to be kind of mean because this book is really hard to find. And so, obviously, our listeners and viewers are going to go insane trying to find it. But this is the English Masonic Union of 1813, A Tale Ancient and Modern, by John Belton, Brother John Belton, who is a professor of English in England. And this is a page turner. It's very short. As you can see, it's like super thin, but it's packed with information. If you've ever wondered about the merger of the ancients and the moderns, the Lodge of Reconciliation, the whole process by which the United Grand Lodge of England was finally formed, and you don't want to have to sift through piles of papers to figure it out, this is the book for you. It is amazing. It is fun. It is awesome. I definitely recommend it because it's for okay, fine. I'm a history nerd. I'll admit it. I'll admit it to the world that I love history. But this book gives you the framework by which the United Grand Lodge of England was formed. And I've never, I've read many different accounts of how it happened. This is the best summary by which you can understand how Ireland was involved, how Scotland was involved, how all the different bodies were involved, Preston, everything. This is the book. And guess what? It's really hard to find, like I said, because I think it was done by Vanity Press. So have fun. I'll put it up there.
I can tell you, Amazon, the link that I put on the events page, there is one in stock. And the link is on the page. Go get it.
Go.
Go
For $10 million.
So yeah, you're gonna have fun. There is a Spanish.
Shipped from Minnesota by Millennial Freemason.
I wonder.
You can have my book for my cold dead fingers.
For $1 million.
Thank you, Nick. Robert, you're up.
Sure. So second book is, I will screen share this one also, because again I am mobile. I will recommend the Leyden Papyrus, an Egyptian magical book. Not inherently Masonic, but very interesting, diving into the depths of Egyptian magical practices, Egyptian medicine even, some alchemy is in there as well. It is originally a papyrus translated to Greek. The name stems from its location, which is in Leyden in the Netherlands. Discovered in Thebes. It's an older book. It's really good though, and you don't have to really buy the book if you don't want to. Paperback goes for $3 used. There are copies aplenty, PDF on the interwebs. All you got to do is check it out. Maybe archive.org is probably a great place to look for it. But yeah, good book, great read. It's interesting.
Thank you, Robert. So looking at the time, I think we have about a little bit of time left to just go through one more quick one from each of us. Questions and comments on social media have been great, sharing your individual favorite books. We wish we could go through all of those, but join the conversation over there on the Facebook event page for episode 125. Share your favorite book and comment on it. Tell us why you like it. We're not doing the hashtag campaign again at the moment, but hey, it doesn't hurt to throw in a TMR bookmark and talk about Sparking Light, because that's why we do this, and it's why we've done this episode specifically. So here's what we'll do. We'll run through very quickly with our third and final book, and I'll not waste no more time by saying my third and final book is The Mason's Word by Robert G. Davis. The Mason's Words is a great book on the history of American ritual. This has been fascinating for me because it answers a lot of the questions of where did that phrase come from, right? Someone had to cobble together the ritual, and we've heard a lot about the Preston and Webb, and I know that is one of the questions that was on social media. What about some of those other Masonic ritualists that have put all these things together? Here's the history in one concise area. Robert Davis does a great job of talking about the history of Freemasonry, the formation of the Grand Lodge of England, and how that influenced what was going on with the operative plays that were going on that Jason's alluded to in his Noah presentation. It goes into the formation of the colonies and how that has influenced the manner in which the fraternity grew, which then also influenced what pieces of the ritual they decided to keep and throw away. He digs through exposés to go into detail about what was happening when did the Master Mason degree show up, and so forth. So check that out, The Mason's Words by Robert G. Davis. Jason, you're next.
All right, that's a great book, by the way, and I definitely used the hell out of that for my Noahide presentation. So for those of you who don't know, I studied history in college, specifically Russian and Soviet history, and the topic and concept of Freemasonry in Russia has been of great interest for the past several years. And there's one major scholarly work, at least in the English language, that I've been able to come up with, and it's actually quite fantastic. It's Douglas Smith's Working the Rough Stone, Freemasonry and Society in 18th Century Russia. And for anyone who is a history nerd, like hardcore history nerd, this is a really, really cool book. It's up there with Rick Berman's book that Nick showed earlier, just in the sense that Rick Berman's book is just so complex and so rich, and that's the way that that this book is written as well. There's not a whole lot written specifically about Masonry in this book. However, what is written about are the socio-cultural goings-ons of 18th century Russia that made it possible for Freemasonry to take root before it was finally exterminated by Catherine the Great. And for those of you who don't know, actually, Freemasonry has popped back up in Russia, and the Grand Lodge of Russia has been in existence now, I believe, since 2004 or 2005. But this is an incredible book if you are a hardcore nerd like me. And since I have the mic, I'm going to talk about one last book, which is The List of Lodges Masonic, which is a book that every Mason who wants to travel anywhere should have. And Juan's got his too. This has been a godsend to me when I've been traveling all over the country, because even when we went to Civil, Castle Island Virtual Lodge, all we had to do was look it up and say, okay, we're good to go, we're going. So if you don't have a copy of your grand jurisdiction's list of officially recognized lodges, and you want to stop being a provincial Mason, as Nick coins the term, get yourself a copy of the List of Lodges Masonic, because it's great.
Don't leave home without it. Juan, what's your next book?
Well, I wanted to add something about what Jason said. When you get the book, if you visit a lodge, mark it. Put the date that you went. If you have some notes, that way you can go back. So a point of interest. In 11 days, it's going to be 2 years since we went together to Castle Island. Is it Castle Island? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was on July 30th of 2014. Can you believe that?
Wow, 2 years.
Yeah, man. I got that little. I can't believe it. 2 years. All right. So my next book. You made a decision that it's not this. So I'll go to my next one. I received in the mail a book from a good brother. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I know you'll see this, and I really thank you for this. This is Louisiana Masonic Monitor. This is back from this 1971. It's a pretty old copy of it. And what I like about it is to be able to see the similarities and the differences between how we do business in Florida and how it happens in Louisiana. So there's not very much I can tell you from it, other than the fact that it's very well illustrated and it's all written. So there's a lot of things here that in my books are not written or illustrated. So it was very interesting to have that contrast and see my book. There's a lot of ciphering, there's a lot of code, and then this is like it's all here. Like they're trusting the brother to keep this and protect it, and now let it be in unworthy hands. So that's my last one.
Very cool. Okay. Nick needs to step away for a second. Oh, you want me to come back to you? No, he's going to go dig for another one. Robert, shout yours before Nick comes back.
Sure. So number 3 is screen share, The Occult Anatomy of Man, to which is added a treatise on occult masonry, 6th edition. You can grab the paperback right now. It's on Prime, $5. And great book. Manly P. Hall does a great job of outlining some really good information. Occult anatomy, occult meaning hidden or secret, the secret or hidden anatomy of man. Lots of symbology decoded. It talks about the, of course, the similitudes between, masonry and the human body, Solomon's temple, the human body, the lodge room, the human body, like all these different amazing things. Really cool book. Like I said, for $5, you can't go wrong. Again, if you don't want to spend $5, don't. It's out there on archive.org, as many things are. It's a PDF, but if you got to have pages in your hand like I do, then go with it. And if any brother out there can tell me the name of a service that I can send them an out-of-print book and they will send me a hardbound edition of it, a facsimile printed, let me know, because I would pay a lot of money for some of the books I have on PDF just to have paper. But that's my 3rd book.
Cool. And Nick is back in the nick of time to tell
Alrighty.
the 3rd book.
All right. So I saw a comment from Mike Hambrecht, friend of the show, and it was kind of interesting. He was asking about Oliver and Pike and Preston and Webb, and kind of understanding. And there's a philosophy within Masonry, a philosophy that it's hard to grasp because it comes from many different opinions, And so for me, the way I was able to start on that particular path to understanding different philosophies about what Masonry means and what Masonry is I started with Roscoe Pound's, and it's because legal training. It's one of those but this is Roscoe Pound's Masonic Addresses, and you can find it on McCoy's and stuff like that. It's a reprint. Who knows if there's probably a online version. It's a reprint, so who know? I'm not really sure if it's under copyright or not, but it is a really good resource because what he does is he, in his legal mindset, breaks down the philosophy into elements, and so he goes and uses Krauss and Pike, and I think Preston is in here, and I personally really like it because he focuses the philosophy based on the culture with which it is taken, and you kind of get an understanding. Now, it's written in 1920s. It's got a legal framework, so it's kind of dense a little bit that way. But I would definitely recommend this book, and especially when you get deeper into it, and he actually starts talking about this concept that we really don't flesh out of Masonic common law, Masonic constitutional law, the idea of Masonic rights, Masonic duties, and he he does this amazing later on in different papers, because this is a collection of papers, in a different paper, he actually is able to take Masonic jurisprudence, Masonic ideals, and boil them down to what we now understand as American jurisprudence. He was a realist, and so a realist jurist was focused on how does this apply directly with the facts that are presented. It's not looking at other things like that. And so for me, I love Pound's, Roscoe Pound's ideas. Interestingly enough, he changed later on in his philosophy. He got away from that realist school. But definitely I would take a look at this. He spent many, many, many hours, you can tell, many days, thinking about how Masonry and the idea of jurisprudence can be built into one framework. So definitely check it out. Kind of geeks out on that, and I would definitely recommend it.
Definitely. Thank you, Nick. Let's start wrapping things up, starting with Jason. Give me a 2-sentence closeout.
Books are awesome. You should read, because if you don't, you'll be dumb.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks for watching.
And you did it in 2 sentences, except for just then. Good job. Juan, how you doing?
Okay, there we go. Thank you, brothers, for watching and listening. If you have your own suggestions, please go to theMasonicRoundtable.com and leave us your comments there, or in the events page on Facebook. Thank you, as always, for your suggestions for topics to discuss in our program, and thank you for listening and sharing with the brothers that might enjoy it. If it wasn't for you spreading the word, we probably wouldn't be able to continue doing this. Brothers keep on watching, they keep on asking for more, and we're here to do that for you. So I hope that you're deriving great benefit from listening and watching. I'll invite you to go to thewindingstairs.com and see some of the new things that I've been putting together. I'm back again, putting some regular episodes. You should see some episodes finally after a few long months, but I'm getting back in the jam of things. So thank you, brothers.
Go ahead and crush it, Juan. Good job. Nick, final thoughts?
Read books, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those that I'm surrounded by these Masonic books, and I'm married to a librarian, and even she gets annoyed by them at some point. But no, definitely check them out. You'll love them. Is there any kickback to these? No, just kidding.
Does she make you arrange them according to the Dewey Decimal System?
Share it. Library of Congress. Dewey cheated town. Yeah, but actually, ironically enough, yes, they are arranged based on LC. So, so awesome sauce. Yeah, definitely though. Take all our recommendations, read them all, and we're expecting book reports very soon.
Nice. Thank you, Nick. Robert Johnson.
Just keep on reading, and kind of like Nick said, copyright Library of Congress. That's how you know it's good. It's old. It's awesome. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for putting up with a longer episode where we just went nuts and we skipped social media. Sorry. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like Masonic podcasts, please check out Whence Came You, 9:30 Sunday nights. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Robert. As for me, I learned a lot. I think that's the last thing I was going to take away was thank you guys for sharing, because I learned something new or a different side of Masonry to research every time we talk, and more especially during our book episodes. I'm sure there'll be a part 3 in the future, hopefully not 100 episodes from now, but we'll make that happen much sooner. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.